Happy holidays, and thank you so much for joining us wherever you are in the world. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture. And sometimes I think we should call it the United Kitchens because we're always talking about food, but that's another program, so I won't go there. Joining me today are two of our expert correspondents who need no introduction, but I will give them one anyway. They both have an incredible amount of talent, skill, and experience in covering all types of stories from around the world. And they both lead their lives with their hearts wide open, lifting up other people and bringing value to our platform, to me personally and professionally. So let me bring them out. Welcome, Simon MacDonald, joining us. Hello.
Hello, and best fishes for the season as well.
Happy fishes to you.
Thank you.
And also, Mr. Ian Pelham-Turner is with us. Let's bring him out. Hello.
Good afternoon, one and all. Well, we're talking from 3 countries today again, aren't we? So Scotland, England, and obviously America as well. So it's wonderful to be crossing the Atlantic in a very positive manner.
Yes, it is. And we say hello to the 2 lovely ladies who are not with us today on holiday, Helena Chard and DIANN BOEHM. So, gentlemen, what I think is so interesting is that, Ian, to your point, we are in 3 different countries, but yet we all experience a lot of the same things, especially around the holidays. We've talked about the fact that for some people, this is a great time of year. For other people, it's a sad time of year. And for even more, it's a time of reflection. So when we think about this past year, I'd love to just start out with what are some reflections that you have personally and professionally for 2022?
Oh, is that directed to me?
So I'm looking right at you, Mr. Fish.
I'm trying to think of volumes to say on it because, I mean, 2022 has been quite a mega year, with highs and big lows as well, work-wise, fishing-wise, and so on. The industry is, going through its usual trials and tribulations. Sadly, I lost my brother in February, so that was a big low point in the year. But, when you hit the bottom, there's only one way, and it's up, and it's got better and better and better as the year has gone on. So 2023, it's going to be an interesting one to see exactly what it's going to bring, because there's all sorts of things going on, in the corridors of power, shall we say, which will affect the fishing industry. And it's going to be a case of watch this space and see what goes on. So hence the reason for best fishes. But it's also, at this time of year, is a time of year of great tradition as well. And I'll let Ian say his piece just now, but there are a lot of very strong Scottish traditions based around New Year, or Hogmanay as we call it here. So I'll let Ian have his piece just now and I'll ram in later on.
Fantastic. Thank you. Ian, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, for myself and Helena especially, it's been such a busy year, Dr. Jacalyn, as you know. I mean, I think we've between the 2 of us, we've probably just done just under 200 shows, with broadcasters across the world. Obviously, when we first started, we were really focusing on the Queen's celebrations more than anything. And that was a very, very busy time for us. And it was an incredible period as well. And then, of course, the sadness of the Queen dying as well. And this was a period that people like myself and Helena always feared. Because apart from obviously mourning the Queen, who was an incredible woman and statesman in her own right, the actual amount of experience that we have to then bring and involvement that we brought to different TV channels around the world. In the end, it was 10 days. I started on the evening My first broadcast, I think, was South Africa or India that particular night, about 8 o'clock, and I worked for 27 hours on the first day with 2 hours sleep in 27 hours. So it was a busy time. And by the end of it, you know, I mean, we were obviously dressed in black morning dress, black tie, and so forth. But by the end of it, I was trying to say to commentators as well, I don't think the Queen would have wanted all of this as a downside to her life and what she meant to the world at the same time, and to Britain and to people like myself, and I'm sure to Simon as well. And so by the end, in fact, I think I caused a rod for my own back, because I then started talking about funny stories about the Queen, things that had happened to me in the past as well. And how really the Queen had a great sense of humour. She could laugh things off. The royal family have got a great sense of humour as well. And I think, you know, that the reality this year has been, we look forward to next year now, to the coronation of King Charles, that we hope that there will be means ahead now of bringing Harry and Meghan back into the fold with William and Kate, because that would make a very strong force around the world. But then, you know, there are situations that we know of. Obviously, in January, Harry's book comes out, and that's not going to be supposedly that diplomatic about the goings-on of the royal family at the same time. So, for me personally, as Dr. Jacalyn said, you know, we've just had our peace show. We did a special peace show. I want peace, prosperity, and happiness for everyone across the world. I think, you know, next year and at the tail end of this year. And as Simon always says, you know, it's Ochai the New at the moment. You know, it is time for Hogmanay. My mother, being Scottish, used to celebrate Hogmanay each year, and it was the only time, strangely enough, when I knew that she would have a drink of alcohol. So perhaps talking about Hogmanay might just be an interesting point to people who don't know what the subject's all about in Scotland.
Thank you so much. I want to dive into what you both just shared. We do have a number of comments, and DIANN FLOYD BOEHM is waiting backstage. I'm going to bring her out momentarily. So greetings to all. Thank you, Facebook user. We'd love to know who you are and where you're joining us from. Also wishing you all a happy 2023. Thank you. One of our top fans from Uganda. Thanks for the show. Thanks, Enoch, for being here. One of our team members, Mr. Roland Friedel. Hello, gentlemen. Sunny regards from Portugal. What about me, Roland? No hello to me? Come on. We're the buddies.
Yes, he's trying to rub our nose in it there a bit, I think, about sunny Portugal.
I think that was, yes, that was the case. Facebook user, may we unite globally to eradicate cervical cancer. Yes, thank you. Also, Enoch, me too. I'm a football commentator. And we have another comment. I pray for universal peace and we all live as one human family. Amen to that. And Arshana is the one who made the comment and is in Mumbai. Thank you. And Roland, hello. All right, try to make up for it now, Roland. Okay, sorry. Let's bring out DIANN FLOYD BOEHM. Hello, DIANN.
Hello, everyone.
Nice to have you with us.
Thanks. To be here.
DIANN is joining us from Texas in the United States. And DIANN, I would love for you to share some of the highlights of your 2022, personally and professionally, whatever comes to mind.
Sure, I'll be happy to. First of all, I hope everyone on our team had a wonderful holidays, and Happy New Year to everyone listening and to our team. I'm excited about the new year. This past year has been extremely exciting, new books coming out, but most importantly, in regards to USA Global TV, I am just so happy and honored and blessed to be a part the team. And to be on this particular show is so exciting. I'm always learning from our team members. And I just love how this show unites our countries and we learn from each other. And I absolutely love learning and having a better understanding of our home country, which is what I call the United Kingdom, because that's my heritage. And just the more, we understand people, the better we can move towards peace, love, and kindness. And that's what I hope 2023 could be, is that we could somehow try to figure out how to, even if it's just for a little while, to stop the bombing, to stop everything, take a deep breath, and figure out how we can work together. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Diane. That was beautiful. We do have a couple of additional comments. We love it when the audience engages with us. Thank you. One of our regular followers, Tarek, is back. Thanks again. Greetings to Jacalyn from coastal Maine, USA. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. And also from someone else on Facebook, wishing all the success to you, dear doctor, and all the eminent speakers. Thank you. We'd love to know who you are, just if you want to drop your name and where you're joining us from. So as you know, we talked briefly about the fact that this week we had a show called Talking Peace Around the World. And Diane, to something that you just mentioned, I think when we have an open heart and when we're curious to learn and we learn and understand about other people, other cultures, that's where peace can really start and be a great foundation. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. And, I've been blessed to travel more than I ever dreamed I'd be able to as a little girl. And being in other countries, their cultures, honoring them for what they do and how they do it and becoming part of it. I just encourage everyone to please go get a passport and see the world and discover the magic that every culture brings, because every culture is beautiful.
And Diane, you have done a lot of traveling. What are some of your favorite places?
Well, there are so many. How do you decide? Of course, the United Kingdom. How could I not say that? I love the UK. But, going to various countries in Africa and helping out in just being involved in humanitarian work, it just warms my soul. And the people are so incredible that I just, it just gets inside your soul and you just want to be there all the time. I really do miss going to Africa. It's a lot cheaper to fly from Dubai to Africa than it is from the United States. So I could go quite a bit when I was over there. But there's so much more of the world to see now that I'm on this side of the planet. I hope to maybe go to different parts in South America one day, God willing. As we say down south, God willing, and the creek don't rise.
I love that. Thank you, Diane. We have another comment from Claudio. Sorry. Hello, gentlemen. Gentlemen, what about Diane and me? Hello. Sending regards from Andalusia, Spain. Thanks for being here, Claudio. We appreciate you. Just joking around. Who else wants to comment on what Diane said or about traveling? Simon?
Yeah, just thinking there about your travels to Africa. I mean, I've just recently been to South Africa, and bearing in mind that the cyclone bomb that you have in America just now with the weather is pretty horrific, and and I'm dreading it because we always get your cast-offs, so we're going to get hit with this very, very soon, and just before Christmas there, I was out in South Africa, our granddaughter's wedding, and leaving here, it was -5 degrees centigrade, which is about 28 Fahrenheit or 24 Fahrenheit, something like that. And then arriving in destination in Wellington, South Africa, and the temperature was 37 degrees, which is about 104 or something like that Fahrenheit. So it was a bit of a shock to the system. But, the cultures and so on of other countries, I love traveling, absolutely love it. I mean, this year I've started off, I was at Boston for the Boston Seafood Show, which was just absolutely amazing and such a feel-good factor as well. Everybody was in party mode because we've been allowed out to play for the first time. And the show doors opened the day that the face mask regulation was dropped off in America. So it was freedom. We could breathe without these things covering our faces and so on. So we could see who was who. I think Dr. Jacalyn realized who was who when the photograph she keeps putting up on the screen there with my kilt. It certainly made its mark and so on. And, it again was a culture exchange. The questions I was asked about Scotland, and I think the number of people who are wanting to come to Scotland now as well, they might not like it today, it's a bit wet. But there we go. South Africa, a wonderful place in political turmoil, which is so sad because it is a magnificent country. I actually liken it to being like Scotland, but on a vast scale. And I remember the first time I went there, and this would be about 2012, and the journey I had from Cape Town through to Knysna, which is on the Garden Route on the Indian Ocean, a beautiful little town where I finished up living there for 5 years. And it was just Scotland on the vast scale. When I arrived in Knysna, I was speaking to somebody there who also turned out to be another Scot. There are more Scots in Knysna than there are in Scotland, I'm convinced. But they said, "Oh, in Scotland, you're also very proud about the heather and the hills and so on like that. It's it's beautiful." And I said, "Oh yes, we're very, very proud. It's almost part of our heritage." So he said, "Yes, in Scotland, you've got 45 varieties of heather growing wild." And I thought, "No, this is somebody who knows their stuff." And she said, "But in Knysna alone, we've got over 300 different types." And I thought, "Oh, great." So it sort of just added to the scale of things. And the whole culture of it is just absolutely incredible. So, yeah, travel is a wonderful thing. And, the airplane, for all the pollution that they make in the skies, is a way to get around. So, yeah, I absolutely love it. And Dan, it's lovely to see you. Merry Christmas to you. And
thank you very
Happy
much.
New Year too.
Thank you.
Simon, I just have to comment that unfortunately that photograph of you in the kilt has been banned by the social media platform, so I can't show it anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
It's because people were asking, and you probably slipped as to what the Scotsman actually really wears under the kilt. Oops.
We were getting too many questions for your phone number. People wanted to reach out to you. Like, sorry, no. Ian, how about you? You certainly have traveled the world in your career.
Yeah, I used to be a travel journalist, so I worked a lot in America, for example, and I used to run a separate business advising tourist boards, and so I worked a lot in Florida. I worked a lot in Hawaii as well, and I love Hawaii. But I think, do you know what? These days, we're actually circumnavigating the globe with this TV channel, because the other night we were talking from Sydney, and we were talking from Florida, and we were talking from London and New York, and I think, nowadays it's great. Helena and I are actually threatening, should I say, to come out and see you all in America next year. And we're looking at perhaps planning sometime, and one of our other colleagues, Daisy Gideon, I think she's looking to actually promote her 90-minute documentary film that's won, I think, 20 awards now, and she's looking to play it in Washington and in Los Angeles as well. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a busy year for y'all, next year in America, because we may be sort of coming the other way, coming to see you. We'll be flying the Union Jack, but we also love Americans as well.
Well, that is very exciting.
The National Guard will be called out for that occasion, I should think.
We'll roll out the red carpet.
Absolutely.
Sure. So, Simon, you didn't say you're coming over.
You said, sorry, say that one again.
I said, you haven't said that you're going to come over and see us. Is that in your calendar?
I think there's a very good chance I'll be back in Boston again this year, around about March. The Boston Seafood Show's on, so looking forward to that. Yeah, I mean, I had such a wow of a time there when I was there. I was going to say last year, but it's almost last year. This year, I mean, the people there, wonderful. You've got some pretty good shops there, and lovely malls, and just beautiful places to walk around Boston. It's a stunning city, and a very friendly place as well. So I loved every second of it. So yeah, I really do want to come back. And I think we've got Barcelona on the cards again, but that's this side of the pond. I think we should rename this program. It's not the United Kitchens, but it should be the United Ocean. It's hands across the pond, and there we are. So yeah, this weekly thing is just so wonderful, and it's just so nice to see the comments that have been coming in from all around the world. I mean, this is truly a global channel now, and I know for a fact I've got people from South Africa, Australia, France, and in the States as well, of course, and Spain, and yeah, several other countries, all watching this show on a regular basis as well. So hello to everybody, those that I know, and a big hello to those that I don't know.
Yes, that's a great point. Thank you. We really do appreciate everyone who is following us and who is commenting and liking and getting the word out, because we are here to share good news and to share education as well. And a question that I have for everyone: when we think about talking peace around the world, we think about the holidays, we think about being curious and travel. If we look at, and again, this is good news, but if we look at what's going on in the royal family in Britain, and we see there's a discourse in the family, that happens a lot, especially at the holidays. And I'm wondering if you have any tips of how, if somebody in their family, they have discourse with family members, maybe they're not talking anymore, how do people bring it back together? Or do you just say, hey, you know what? I'm done with you. We have the same last name, but I'm moving on. Ian, I see you have something you want to share.
I mean, the royal family has been very much in the news, both sides of the of the Atlantic. The reality at the moment is that I think the royal family are going to go through a transition. Hopefully, there's going to be some sort of amicable relationships between Harry and Meghan and with the rest of the royal family in Britain as well. But there's been some strange goings on, I have to sort of report, about the royal family, because over Christmas time, Prince Andrew came back to Sandringham for the first event where they've celebrated Christmas at Sandringham for 3 years, because of the Queen was really ensconced in Windsor and Windsor Castle. So they've gone back to their traditional place of celebration for Christmas at Sandringham. And Prince Andrew turned up as well with his daughters. And he then gave a very strange piece of advice to someone. Normally, at events like this, people turn up hours beforehand, and you can actually watch the royal family walk from the house to the local church at Sandringham as well. And as he was walking back, to go to presumably lunch with the rest of them, he saw this woman stamping her feet. And so he walked over to her and he said, have you got cold feet? And this woman replied quite astonishingly that, yes, you're quite right, I've got cold feet. He said, well, do you know there's a trick that the royals use for not getting cold feet? And I'm thinking, is this a true story or not? But it's recorded. He said, if you place newspaper on the ground first, it insulates your feet from not having cold feet in cold situations like this. Now, I'm not suggesting the whole of Britain suddenly gets hold of their local newspaper and starts trying this out, in their garden or wherever. But it sort of it begs sort of wondering what on earth, where on earth he got that piece of information from in the first place. And there's been a lot of other things happening. The royal table of how many people have done how many events in the past year. And again, Princess Anne has come top of doing the amount of events, and she's done 413 events in the past year, compared to Charles, who I think has done 180. So she's in the lead again and she's called the most hardest working royal of the lot. And at the moment, a lot of royal books are coming out as well. And one royal book was really talking about Harry's former girlfriend before he married Meghan, Cressida Bonus. She's been talking about, why did I not want to marry Prince Harry? Because at that time, he was a great catch. There were issues. And apparently she was concerned because, even she saw at that time that one time they were in a pub, a saloon in a nice part of just outside London, having lunch. And this elderly gentleman came over and he said, I don't want to stop your lunch, but do you think I could have a picture of you with, on the self, with myself, because I've got a wife who is very ill at the moment and it might cheer her up. And apparently Harry took umbrage at that and stormed out. And Cressida thought that was a strange thing to do as well. So, I think from a royal family point of view right now, there's a lot of goings on that probably we don't know about as well. As I was just saying just before we came on air, I've been watching some of the Netflix now on Harry and Meghan, and it's interesting times. So I hope that the royals will really sort of find ways of creating peace, because in that way, I think if we are unified again, the unification of all of this will actually help us get through the times I think we're going to face over the next year or so.
Indeed.
Who is that?
Oh, no.
Simon, would you like to comment on what Ian shared?
Yeah, no, I think he's got a point. I mean, Harry must have been having a bit of an off day that day if he stormed out there. But I can sort of understand probably where he's coming from, because, they must get hounded perpetually with people wanting selfies with them and, or an autograph or to chat with them. And if somebody comes up and then they've seen you on television or you're a celebrity or whatever, and they come up and talk to you as if you're a lifelong friend, and you think, who the heck is this? And it can actually be quite off-putting and quite alarming at first. So different people react in different way. I'd probably just slap them on the back and say, it's fine, okay, it's your round, boy. So that's probably the way to get out of it. But Harry, well, they say about people with red hair, the temperament goes with it. I don't know. My temperament's perfect. I'm running out of it.
Well, I'm sure it's also when your family life is out in the open and the public, and you create a documentary like they did, that people feel they have the right to say whatever they want or come up and approach you because you put yourself out there like that. What are your thoughts about that? Do you feel, because you two, the two gentlemen, have extensive experience broadcasting for decades, so do you ever feel that way, that because you are covering the news, that people have more accessibility to you?
It always, if I'm really honest, it always slightly concerns me. I suppose I get recognized, in London especially. You know, and it's surprising because in fact, I remember an occasion, 2019, the last summer that we had before COVID, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and I was with one of my other male friends, and he was sort of boasting about how many women that were attracted to him and this whole thing. We were sat down having a coffee, and over a period of 1 hour, 5 people came up. We were just sat outside, you know, in the cafe, and 5 people in an hour came up to have a selfie with me. And probably from an American point of view, I didn't really feel that you know, people in America know me that well. You know, I mean, I'm blessed to do this show. But this gentleman that came up to me, and I think it was almost like in a Texan drawl. And I won't pretend to try and do the accent, but he said, "Excuse me, you're Ian Hunter," and I said, "Yes, yes, that's right." And he said, "Look, I hope you don't mind, but my wife is a great fan of yours." And I'm thinking, my goodness, you know, but she's too shy to come across and ask for a selfie herself. Would you mind if we do a selfie with my wife? Would you mind that? And I said, of course not. You know, I'd be honoured and pleased to do it. So perhaps, you know, sometimes I think that the thing for me is that sometimes, you know, I mean, so far everyone that's ever come up to me has always been very pleasant and very accommodating, and you know, and I'll, you know, if someone wants a selfie, you know, you know, for me, it's I get asked to do selfies a lot, but you know, it's fine. I don't have any issues with it at all. At this, you know, I think it just is part and parcel of the practice of I think, you know, in journalism. You know, we sit either in our home or in a TV studio, and let's be honest, all we're doing is staring at a box. We've no idea really who's actually, you know, watching, you know, what we're doing at all a lot of the time, you know. But obviously, you know, channels like USA Global TV is very successful, so it's got a very large audience, but you just never know. And it's only when you sort of step outside and then people come up to you, you know, and start talking to you, that it actually it's wonderful that, you know, if people feel that you're professional. And I suppose, you know, that's the accolade I probably enjoy, you know, as if they say, you know, we've really enjoyed the shows that you're doing on different channels.
Ian, I just have a question for you. The gentleman who came up to you, was it DIANN's husband?
Was it DIANN? No.
It was DIANN. Okay. It was foreshadowing of where we are today. I love it.
Yeah. I think the tricky one is, I mean, and it's happened to me before as well, when the mistaken identity. When somebody insists that you are somebody totally different that they have seen on television, and they say, "Oh no, but I know you because you're on such and such a show, and you know it can't be anybody else. It's you." You know, I thought, dear, oh dear, oh dear, yeah. And trying to persuade them otherwise. In the end, you sort of give up and say, "Oh yeah, okay, fine, that's me." Let them run with it, you know, because you're just not going to persuade them in any other way that you are not actually this other television personality, but you're me, not this other person. So yes, that can be quite embarrassing, quite difficult at times.
And sometimes it can work the other way. A while back, I was with Helena, and we were in a place called Hampstead in London, which is really one of the big celebrity areas of London as well. You know, it's a very expensive area of London. And Helena was seeking to get some children's clothing for her niece. And so, you know, I'm stood in the store, and obviously, you know, I'm not really looking at children's clothes. Then all of a sudden, someone looks up at me, and I'm thinking, oh, I know the face. And I think, oh God, it's one of the guests who's been on one of my shows. So So I sort of smile at her, and she nods and smiles back again, and and I'm thinking, do I speak to her, because I can't remember her name. I just know that this will. And then all of a sudden, it suddenly dawned on me who it was. It was one of the Spice Girls. It was one of the Spice. It must be one who is this lunatic who's nodding and smiling at her. So sometimes it can work the other way as well.
Well, I remember getting into terrible trouble over one of the Spice Girls as well, because I was doing a show a morning show on ITV. And one of the Spice Girls was also on this show. So I got into such big trouble when I got back home, trying to explain to my daughter why I didn't have a chance to get the Spice Girls autograph on the way back. She wouldn't speak to me for a week. It was great. I mean, my daughter wouldn't speak to me for a week. So
we weren't sure if it was the Spice Girl or who. So
I was in big trouble for not getting a autograph.
Thanks for sharing that. We do have a comment from Buster. Hello from the UK, Lincolnshire. Would you be happy to accept questions, or is that not the format for this meeting? You can, yes, we would love questions. Please go ahead, and thanks for joining us.
This is where I normally go, uh-oh.
You're putting the questions out in public, so.
Yeah, please don't ask for money.
So as we look to 2023, I love the idea of changing the name to the United Oceans. What do you think about that?
Oh dear, have I done something here?
All right, we'll talk about that offline, I guess. Okay. No, I think to your point, Simon, we are a global platform, and a lot of that has to do with the three of you and the network that you have and the places that you've lived or the places that you've covered. And so your following is coming here. So I thank you for that.
Well, I thank you for putting them here. I mean, the work that you've done in establishing this network is just quite staggering. It really is. I mean, you definitely have to be applauded. It's all your fault, Dr. Jacalyn. It's not mine. It's not Ian's. It's your fault.
Well, thank you. And something I really do appreciate that. Something I just want to share for people who are out there. As you know, I worked in corporate until 2020, doing something completely different, selling employee recognition and incentive programs. And I took a big leap of faith. I was going to just do coaching. I was going to be coaching people. And one thing led to another. I got an interview with a radio station, and it was an 8-minute interview, and they liked me. And then I paid for a slot, and the rest is history. So I bring that up because to anybody out there who feels like they're stuck in a career or a job or a situation they don't like, you can change it, and you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know who's going to reach out to you, like Ian reaching out to me, and that made such a big difference. And then bringing everyone to the platform, it's just, you got to put yourself out there and open the door and actually walk through it.
Absolutely. Just too late is when tomorrow was yesterday. So go for it now.
Exactly. So as we come to the end of the year,
that one out.
You always have these great sayings. But as we come to the end of this year, of course, people are making resolutions, and some will stay in effect and some will just go by the wayside. Any resolutions that the three of you have for something that you're going to change about your life, or something you're going to embrace more? Ian smiling. What is it? I know it has to do with food. Tell us.
I started it today, and Helena, I was telling Helena about my new regime that I started this morning, and there was this clatter of the phone. I think she dropped the phone in sheer astonishment at what I said to her. Where I am now is a wonderful flat, and it's actually owned by someone who was severely disabled, and he's had to move out there, so I've taken the flat over. But he had this bicycle contraption, linear, so it's a along the ground bicycle contraption this morning. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to start this morning off as I intend to live the rest of my life. This is my pledge to myself. And so I tried the bicycle out in my pajamas this morning. I tried it out, and you know what, after a few minutes of cycling on it, it actually helped the pain in my knees. So I thought, well, that's the first bit of the equation. And then I thought, do you know what? I've been given some wonderful books as Christmas presents this year. And Helena bought me Michelle Obama's new book as well on enlightenment. And so I thought, okay, what I'm going to do from now on, every morning, I'm going to sit down by the window at the dining room table, and I'm going to read a chapter of the book each day with a cup of tea, and that will be my start of the day. And then I went on to healthy food after that. You know, I'm a great advocate of avocado now, having avocado in the mornings. And so, do you know what? By about lunchtime, I was feeling so good of myself, I bought myself a cake.
What kind of cake?
And then, you know, well, you know, it just seemed appropriate at the time. That was all. You know.
Ian, what kind of cake is it? Is it chocolate cake? Vanilla cake?
It's a Stollen cake, which is a German cake. An absolute, I tell you what, Jacalyn, it's wonderful. but it's probably about 5,000 calories, but it melts in your mouth. This cake. So now I've been eating fruit all afternoon.
I want on a future episode to have you in your pajamas on the bike eating the cake. I think that would be fantastic.
And you think my photograph got banned on social media? It really conjures up some images, that one, on a bicycle, you know, sometime in the morning there, and you know, eventually munching your stolen cake for lunchtime.
It's a good thing we're all
I was
friends.
waiting for the smoked salmon to come in there somewhere down the line.
Well, I've got smoked salmon tonight, Simon. So you know, I'm back to healthy, but I was just going so well. You know, I was quite pious. I was going so well with the food, and I'm thinking, I'm doing all the right things now. And then I just fell off the wagon again for a second and had a piece of stolen cake, but it brightened up my day.
But, you know,
my
I
child has not
appreciate.
got any smaller this Christmas. I must confess, it's you know, it's all there, it's all bought and paid for. You.
You know, I really love this topic, and we do have a follow-up question, which I'm going to get to, but I love this topic because I've really struggled with this myself. I think I shared with you, I was doing 16-hour fasting. I gave up sugar, alcohol, caffeine, on and on and on. And then it turns out it had no real impact on my health in a positive way. So then I went the other way. I went like crazy off the charts. And so I've been saying to myself every day, okay, I started running again and I'm going to solid core. And I say to myself, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to have sugar. And then I think to myself, why can't I have sugar? Like, why are we always torturing ourselves? You know, my dad used to say everything in moderation. When we go all one way, then I feel like, for me, I feel angry. Why can't I have that? You know, and then when you have too much of it, you hate yourself. So to me, I feel like it's somewhere in the middle, but that's just my thought. Diane, what do you think?
Okay.
I was loving everything people were saying. You're absolutely right. Everything in moderation, but that word tends to not happen to me once I bite into a piece of sweets. But I tell you what just recently happened to me was I hadn't had bacon in a long, long time. I was trying to get healthy, get my cholesterol down. And my husband and I, we went for this lovely drive, and we're a sucker for small town cafes. And I was like, oh, that BLT sounds really good. It was like the best BLT that I had in years. And I now I've been on a bacon kick, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? So I'm like you, Ian, I did really well. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I got to have bacon every day. So,
Yeah, that's what happens. We get addicted to it, I think. So, Simon, you were just talking about bought and paid for. Tell us what you like to snack on, aside from that lovely flask that you have behind you.
As much as possible, I think is the answer to that. Well, I mean, chocolate is an obvious answer. Smoked salmon, yes. I made myself a lot of gravlax this year, which gravlax is somewhat on the vein of smoked salmon. It's cured salmon, and it's done with dill and sugar and a bit of salt, and absolutely delicious. And you slice it thinly, exactly the same way as smoked salmon, and treat it the same. Absolutely wonderful. And I can eat that stuff till it's coming out my ears. But I've been a bit naughty in some of the things I've been eating as well. I made ice cream, and it's such a simple recipe. I think I did it on the United Kitchens once for as an aside. And it's all it takes is a tin of condensed milk, an egg white, and about the same volume of the condensed milk in double cream. And then some vanilla essence, or extract of vanilla is better, and you just stir that up very quickly just to mix it, and then you bang it in the freezer, and that's it. And after your temptation can leave it as long as you can, which is never it's much more than a few hours, then you bring it out, and it is the most delicious ice cream. It's so simple. You can put all sorts of things with it, like Cointreau, which is a lovely sort of orange liqueur, delicious with it, or else grate some white chocolate through it, and you put some fruit through it, strawberries, raspberries, if you want to sort of feel you're doing something to make it that little bit healthier, and it's a big sugar rush, this, but this homemade ice cream recipe is so simple, and once you start eating it, believe you me, you won't stop. So guilty as charged. I've had rather a lot of that. And of course, fish. I eat fish every day, and I work with fish, I eat fish, and I swim when I get a chance as well, and that's it. No, I have been a bit naughty. I've eaten a bit much this time, so I think the beginning of the year I've got to go on a serious regime of trying to get half a ton of weight off me at least, and that'll do it. But one of these helps as well.
Ice drinking during the show. I love it. So
I'm linking this into, I'd mentioned earlier in the program about traditions, and in Scotland, because Ian reminded me there as well when he talked about the Stollen cake, that Hogmanay, or New Year's Eve, is big in Scotland, and it's the one time of the year you can actually go into anybody's house after midnight and be welcomed in. And if you're going in, it's called first footing. First person in is the first foot. You've got to be tall, dark, and handsome, a bit like me, and they'll let you in. So you take with you some whiskey for cheer. You take some food like Stollen cake or shortbread for nourishment, so the house won't go hungry, and you take a lump of coal or a log or a piece of peat in as well to give warmth. And that is a great tradition, which is religiously held in Scotland. So every door, if there's a light on, go in and you'll be welcomed. And we're a very hospitable lot. We don't eat everybody. We don't wear woad anymore. We are quite a friendly lot here. And it's a big time of the year in Scotland. So this year will be no exception, and I'll be braving the cold and the wet and the damp and so on to go out and do my first foot bit. I remember my mother used to get one of the dogs. She had golden retrievers, but she had one which was a flat coat retriever, which is like a golden retriever, but it's black. So that was the dark bit and the handsome bit. So she would tie a bottle of whiskey around the dog's neck and put a little bag tied around it as well with the coal in it and with a bit of shortbread. Send the dog outside at a minute to midnight, and then 1 minute past midnight, the dog would be allowed back in. I remember one year, the dog decided to run away. we found it the next day in the neighbour's house, and it had been dining exceptionally well there. So that's it. So it's open house. It's a lovely time of the year here.
Well, are you putting "we're open 24-hour" sign on your home? Does your wife know?
You don't need to do that. If the light's on, you're in. That's
you're
it.
in.
Come on in. So Cheers.
Cheers. We do have some comments, and then I'm going to go to Buster's question. So Buster writes, indulgence and temptation abound. Right, that's it. I'm having a mince pie and a little tipple.
Good for you. Good for you.
And also, I noticed Simon has a fine carafe, a connoisseur. Simon, do you want to share a little bit about your epic history as a celebrity chef for those people who don't know?
Oh goodness, where do I start? How long we got? Oh yeah, we only got 10 minutes. No, I've cooked for quite a few reasonably well-known people, most of our royal family included. I know I've cooked for Princess Anne about 3 times. Shows how busy she is. Her Majesty, I think I've cooked for her 3 or 4 times as well at different events, and also for 3 US presidents. So I've had where is it now? Yes, there was Barack Obama, there was George W., and there was Bill Clinton. So they all suffered my food, and they've all lived to tell the tale, so it can't be that bad. But yeah, I did quite a lot of television work in the past on with cooking. I had a food smoking business as well, so it gave a bit of an anchor for the recipes that I was creating, mostly based around fish and smoked food. But I even smoked unusual things like nothing illegal, but and no controlled substances, and certainly no tobacco. But I smoked alligator from Louisiana, and then kangaroo, which I brought in from guess where, Australia, and ostrich from South Africa. In fact, Richard Branson, his sister, owned an island just as the crow would fly less than a mile away from where my smoking business was. So he used to come up quite a lot to Scotland to stay at the sister's island. And he'd come into the smokehouse and buy all sorts of things. And he came in one day and Simon said, I've been told about your smoked ostrich. And he said, I'm opening up flights into South Africa. Could you supply me with smoked ostrich from Scotland to South Africa? It's got to be. So yeah, no problem. So we supplied them with that. But I've certainly worked with a lot of well-known chefs and and well-known people. I've had great fun doing it, and it's all been really on a level playing field, and that makes it much more fun. We
want you back here on this channel cooking again, so I'll reach out to you on that.
But here we go, rattle those pots and pans.
Pressure him on the air. We do have a question from Buster, so let me share this. It is, I'm just curious about what it's like to be famous and how that feels in a digital era.
I don't know. What does it feel like to be famous in a digital era? I don't know. I mean, people recognize all of us that's on the show just now. But do we feel we're famous? I don't think so. No.
No.
We're the same as anybody else. And in my book, and it doesn't matter what social level you come from or what color or creed you are. At the end of the day, you cut yourself, it's all red blood. It doesn't matter where in the world you are, who you are. We all have the same stuff flowing around inside us. So, level playing fields, yes, that's what it's all about. So, I don't think there is a feeling of being famous. Ian, what would you say to that one?
I think, I mean, because I do a lot of global shows, one of the channels I work with has got 1 billion audience, so we'll on a show with that each week as well. And so I do get recognized quite a bit. I think I wouldn't say it's fame. I would say sometimes it may be notoriety rather than fame. But I think that the reality is, for me, the reason why I do all this is that when I first started 12 years ago in broadcasting with CNN and then with Helena as well, we were a very good match for talking about royal activities and the like. And I think that works extremely well, in fact, too well. And when Prince George was being born, we did 68 interviews in 6 weeks. right across the world. And so, I mean, fame is probably a word that young people seem to want to have, and I get it. But the more you're recognised, as I am sometimes, the more you can't have really too much of a social life as well. But I think trying to get a balance with using any influence is probably a better word for me, that we have to actually put across messages that people will listen to. I think that's probably the most important thing. So fame is it's okay. I wouldn't call myself famous by any means at all. I always describe myself as just a grain of sand in the desert, when it comes to broadcasting. But I think the reality nowadays is that if we can create influence like we do on shows like this, with channels like this, if we can create positive influencing across the world and put thought process into people's minds that will give them a more positive life through it, then I think that is the value of what I like to try and do.
I love that.
Love
Very
Positivity,
well said.
yes,
Yeah.
positivity. It's the name of the game, and that's it.
Yes.
And sadly, in this day and age, there seems to be a bit of a lack of positivity in certain areas. But we need to be positive. We need to be focused, and we need to think of not our future, our children's future, our grandchildren's future, for generations to come as well, and just make it a better place. Do our bit.
Amen.
Absolutely. DIANN, Floyd BOEHM, definitely an influencer. How do you feel about it?
I concur with what everyone said, but I really love Ian's point, and Simon complimented him on how having the ability to help everyone have a different thought process, to think about positive things going on in your life and what you can do to turn around and help others. It's only teeny tiny small steps. You don't have to go out and create a massive project. Just create a project in your own little home, in your own little community, and teeny tiny baby steps can snowball into something beautiful.
I love that, DIANN. Thanks for sharing that. I think a place where people get tripped up is they feel that whatever little step they take isn't going to amount to anything. And that's not true. It's all the little steps together that really cause change to evolve.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're all unique. I mean, fortunately, there are no two people exactly the same. I think we've been in a lot of trouble if there were. There's some close similarities, but no, each one of us is unique. I mean, nobody can tell what you're thinking at the moment, but so you know something that nobody else does, and that applies to everyone. So we're all very special people. Every single person that walks this planet is a special person. So, and should be proud of it.
There's a wonderful movie. It was a book written long time ago, and they've made it into movies several times. But do y'all recall Pollyanna by chance?
Mm-hmm.
Haley Mills was in it, and she played the glad game. And sometimes I think if we could all just play the glad game, like something bad could happen to us, but what can we turn around and figure out a way to make it positive? Or what can we do to just say, okay, life is a pain at the moment, but we have air in our lungs and we're breathing. So take a deep breath and figure out something lovely to do.
I have a confession now, because Haley Mills and Pollyanna was my childhood sweetheart. I fell in love with Haley Mills and Pollyanna, and I worked with Haley Mills.
Oh, wow. I love her.
Major names, major stars in my time, and all sorts of people. But the one who I found slightly tongue-tied to actually talk to was Haley Mills, of all people. I worked with her father, Sir John Mills, so many times as well. But Haley Mills, it was a very special occasion, and she was delightful. She was absolutely delightful when I worked with her as well. So Hayley Mills, I just think was one of those people that she came from that dynasty, that acting dynasty, and she was absolutely impeccable.
She was. That's thanks for sharing that, because I've admired her ever since I was little. So obviously, because I'm, in my 60s and I'm talking about the Glad game.
Tommy, because I always, as I say, I worked a lot with Sir John Mills, and perhaps people of my age, if you remember a cartoon series called Mr. Magoo.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
You remember Mr. Magoo? Absolutely. Entered Sir John Mills. So John Mills, I mean, he was as blind as a bat, really, but at the end of his days. And he used to walk up to you and walk up to you and walk up to you, and we would always be touching noses as he then recognised who I was. I thought any second now, and the first time he did it, it was quite a strange thing to happen. Okay, I used to work with all sorts of different stars who had their own little idiosyncrasies, but he was as blind as a bat. But he was such a nice person to work with, Dr. John Mills, and Hayley was fabulous.
And a fabulous, dynasty, acting dynasty as well. I mean, what heritage they have brought to to the silver screen. It's quite incredible.
I want to say hello to our dear friend Janetta Barry, joining us from Africa. Hi, Janetta. Nice to have you with us today. And also Buffster, we're loving the comments. Buffster writes, I think the British sense of humor really helps. And although I do love the American sense of humor too. Thank you so much. I just want to share a quick story with you when we're talking about positivity, and I'm going to leave the name of the other person nameless. But last night I went for a walk with someone, and it was evening time, and it was about 65 degrees. And I thought, isn't it beautiful? Look at the sky, look at the moon. I'm so happy to be able to get this fresh air. And the other person said, we could be attacked by rabid dogs. We could fall and trip. And I said, mother, oh, whoops. I said, so my point is, it's all in your perspective. It's two people taking the same walk. And that's what I encourage people. Look for the positives, embrace it, because the negatives will find you. It will find its way to you. And it's how you show up and how you deal with it. They're my thoughts. Sorry, Mom.
Is she banging on the ceiling as you speak?
Bad, Jackie, bad. No. So as we close out our show for today, as I always love to do, I love to go around the panel and just have you share whatever it is you'd like to share with our audience as we close out the year. I think this is the last show of the year, and we'll be back, of course, next week with Helena, hopefully. So I'm going to go over to Simon, and of course we have your banner for people to reach out to you. But tell us, the audience anything you want to share as we close out the year.
Well, it's been quite a dramatic and traumatic year as well, I suppose, as well. It's been a blast this year, and we've got next year to look forward to. And all I can say to everybody is have a very happy new year, and be positive right through 2023, and then 2024 will be so easy after that. But the one important thing as well, looking at my whiskey glass, is that if you drive, don't drink. But if you drink, invite me over.
Thank you, Simon. Diane, over to you.
How can you top that? Wow. This has been an amazing year, ups and downs, of course, and that's just part of life. I hope everyone listening is going to have a beautiful celebration, even if it's just a quiet, simple one like I'll do at home, and watching the ball drop from New York. Well, I love watching the ball drop. But mostly, I hope everyone listening that your dreams come true. Know that you can be what you want to be as long as you work hard at it. And may you have many, many blessings to come in the new year. Thank you.
I'll drink to that.
That was beautiful. Mr. Ian Palm-Turner.
Well, this year has been the most incredible year, as you can imagine, because Helena and I, obviously, we knew about the Queen celebrations, and so we were bracing ourselves for that. We, as I said, but I think we've done well over 200, perhaps up to 300 shows this year for different channels right across the world. So and obviously, what we weren't expecting, unfortunately, was the death of Queen Elizabeth, and that was probably one of the hardest periods that I've personally worked in, and Helena's personally worked in, for really since we first started 12 years ago. And we've done over 3,000 shows, a lot to do with the royal family in that period of time, and it was such a strange thing to actually happen as well at the end of an era. But I think personally now I want to see peace and happiness, and really that we all come together next year. I think we're going to go through some trying times really across the world at the moment, but I want to wish everybody who watches our shows and knows about Helen and myself as well, as long as with the show, a very peaceful 2023, a very happy and prosperous 2023. And remember, you can always find some way of finding a positive way of life.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I'll drink to that too.
Me too. Where's
All of a
my
sudden,
Bailey's Irish cream?
It's getting better.
Well, I'll just close out with gratitude and appreciation and my heartfelt thanks to the three of you here, to Helena, and to everybody on our team here at USA Global TV and Radio. What I have to say is I have seen people reaching out to other team members, reaching out to guests we've had, and forming collaborations, finding new ways to get your messaging across. And it makes me so happy and so excited to just see people connecting. Somebody said to me recently, someone I hadn't spoken to in a while, was, are you going out? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And I don't really have people that I get together with on a one-on-one basis because of the way my life is now. But I feel so rich with all the friends I've created through this platform. So I feel we have real friendships, and we'll get together in person. And I love you all. And I thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Can I just say one last thing as well? Sorry, I meant to mention as well that obviously Helena Chard, my colleague as well, and one of the regulars on here, would also wish really everybody a very happy new year now, and a prosperous and positive new year at the same time. Unfortunately, she couldn't be this afternoon, but the reality is that sentiment is very much in her mind as well at this time.
Absolutely. You. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Helena.
Here's Helena. This is getting out of hand.
I do have a question, Simon, before we leave. So the carafe that you have behind you, do you actually use that to pour your whiskey or your cognac, or is it for display?
I've got that one there is for port.
Okay.
And there's a claret jug there as well. There's a champagne bucket there, and in there it's all for masses of water from crystal to drink it all from as well. So yeah, there's something for all occasions there.
All right.
And of course,
I love it. Cheers.
This one as well.
And we have a final comment from Buffster. Again, thank you, Buffster, and everybody for being here and putting your comments in. Thank you for hosting this. It's a lovely forum and platform. Happy New Year to you all, and the digital attendees also. I couldn't have said it any better. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for coming back with The Business Talk Show, Mr. Al Cini, and our special guest, Christopher Salem. So happy New Year, and cheers to everyone out there.
A happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye for now.
Bye.